Donnie B. GotDaBeats.
What's good, everybody? It's Donnie B. Got the Beats. We live on the beat. Today we got a really dope, really dope artist that we got up on our podcast today. Very talented in a lot of different senses of the word. She epitomizes the entire spectrum of what it's like to be a professional, a talented musician, an engaging personality. All of those things tied up into a nice little package. Without further ado, we're going to introduce Varshini, but she goes by the musical doc. I got an air horn.
It's okay. I'll just insert my own sound effects in there. So, I got y'all.
That's why you're dope. You see what I'm saying? So, Varshini, how you doing?
I'm doing very well today. It's Friday, so TGIF. And I'm here talking to you about to exchange some energy. So I always look forward to the exchange of energy and just, elevating, consciousness. So I can't complain.
Awesome. Okay, great. And thank you for taking the time to be on the beat with me. And definitely would love to get to the work that you get because it's dope. What they say, it's slapping.
It's popping. I should say thank you very much first, but I was trying to give you some adjectives there too.
Hey man, no worries. I get it. So let's get to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is the musical doc?
Who is the musical doc? When I think about the genesis of the musical doc, I think it starts from the time I was put on this planet. I come from a very, very musical family. My upbringing was very, very musical. Both my parents did PhD work in world music, and they're both doctors of music. So I had a very musical upbringing. And, I had the opportunity to travel all over the world and just, really experience the culture of music in a variety of different ways. And so I think that's something that's always just like, before I even could say my own name, I resonated with music, you know what I mean? And so it's really interesting because I think, through the journey of that, through the journey of my life and this and that, when it came to a point of choosing a career path, I had a lot of familial influence to choose a path that's more quote unquote stable, that's just going to be more lucrative. My parents are I'm a first generation here. My parents are immigrants to this country. So, the immigrant struggle is a whole other situation on its own. So I did end up going to med school, got my doctorate. And, I think there was a point in my life I was just kind of, living on autopilot, on the outside, everything was Gucci and it seemed like I was on the right path. But I think my internal environment was really, really empty, And I think when you really hit this point of rock bottom and you're kind of living your life in autopilot on this rat race, it just really causes you to reflect, let me just go in a layer and see what's going on here,
Right.
And so at the time, my brother, he was living in India and he's a very well-established musician in this industry out there as well too. And he was like, yo, just drop it. What do you got to lose? You might as well just do what your inner calling is telling you to do. You know what I mean? So I put in my 2 weeks notice and I packed my entire life in a suitcase and I went overseas. And that was the first kind of stretch of my really exploring my musical venture. And I think I really found my voice and a lot of that. I was doing a lot of things out there, doing this, doing that. Then eventually I'm from LA, you know what I mean? So home is where the heart is. I understand that, but you can't take the angel out for too long. You know what I mean? So I had to come back to LA, and I think the musical doc is just a name that really resonated with my story, my journey of into myself, stepping into my higher form. And I always believe no matter how far you go, you should never forget where you come from. Right. And so that was the direct tie of, that. So here's the musical doc. What's poppin'?
Listen, do you have a like any background in acting? I mean, have you dabbled in acting and stuff like that too?
I mean, I think I'm a whole schmood on myself, so I don't know if I need to be doing anything acting one. I haven't done anything like that though. I think I'm just extra mom. Oh no.
Yeah, you just got to really engage your personality. It's so it's just like, hey, and it's LA because Angelino is like most half of them.
Shoot, if the universe calls for it, I'm gonna step right there. That's what I'm gonna say.
Indeed. So being the fact that you are have such pedigree with music and you've done it your whole life, it's interesting. Who are your influences? They got you kind of like considering the fact that you have a family. Your family is musical. Is your family your influences? And I mean, obviously, I don't want to get you in any trouble or anything like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's really interesting because when I think about musical influences, like I said, I traveled a lot. So I would say like having the opportunity to really experience so many different types of sounds and cultures, right? Like I would say the influence of the world is where it comes from, really. Whether that's like indigenous, whether that's classical, whether that's popular, whether that's like indie, whatever that may be. There's I feel like that's an own frequency, that's an own like muse, that's an own like vibration, you know what I mean? And really tapping into that higher form is an inspiration on itself. And so I would definitely say like the synergy between my internal and external environment has really been a huge source of like inspiration in general while creating.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's it. Great answer.
I mean, that's just like I like to really soul surf with myself a lot. When I think about it, like from the time I can remember, like I've always felt that way, like have I played with like African drums, Indian drums, like different types of strings from different, absolutely. So can I sit here and kind of like centralize that into one sound or one artist? Absolutely not. It's just, it's muse from the world. It's a global stage. It's a global sound. So I would say, yeah, influences of the world.
Awesome. So with that said too, because you mentioned it, so you play instruments as well. You're not just a vocalist.
Yeah.
So how many instruments do you play?
You know what? The thing with that is I really feel like once you like, especially in the environment that I grew up in, once you like kind of learn one, like the first instrument I ever really learned was actually a classical Indian instrument called the veena, which is a string instrument. And so that was like the first instrument that I learned. And from there, the second instrument I learned was piano. And then from there, I just kind of, I played French horn. I played like a bunch of different things. So I would just say like, I don't know, like give me something to play. I'll figure out how to play it.
Yeah, I believe it was a saying that John Lennon said back in the day, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically to the effect of, I'm an artist. You get me a tuba and I'll get you something out of it. You know what I mean? And
I believe that. That's a very real sentiment. And I can't tell you how many times. And I also, like I said, I feel like a lot of it, really reflecting, it goes back to like my upbringing, like having the opportunity to have like, just so many instruments and so many different types of instruments at like, the tips of your fingertips. I mean, access to your fingertips. It's like, of course you're going to try to dabble in whatever. And if you've been doing that literally your whole entire life, it's kind of like, I mean, it's almost unnatural if I couldn't figure out, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's definitely good to know. I mean, I'm obviously a producer. I play a lot of different instruments myself, so I totally understand the sentiment. It's like you pick up one and then you can't even remember how you got to the next few, you know what I mean?
Like sometimes it's like you're trying to figure out a melody, and before you know it, it's like you figured out how to play that actual like instrument. And so I'm a total nerd for life too. So I think that really doesn't help with it either. I'm like, how can I figure out how to get better at this? So forever nerd right here.
Totally understand. I come from a league of nerds myself. So you said you're from LA. Yes. What was it like growing up in Los Angeles for you?
What
was it like growing up?
So there's a lot of elements to that, right? And I think there's like this element kind of my personal upbringing, like my immediate, environment, which was very, very musical. Because of the nature, it was also very diverse. And I think there was like different chapters to that too, as well. You know what I mean? So
Right.
there was one element where it was very, very traditional. My parents were very into the classical Indian music scene, and they actually have one of the largest classical Indian music schools in the United States. And so growing up in that environment, there was definitely like, it's very traditional, very hardcore, very just very conservative. So I would say there's almost like, it's almost like really like suffocating in a way, you know what I mean? Because it's like, even like the genre of the music in itself or whatever, right? I was kind of always like this black sheep, I would say, in that world. And then there was also like this world outside of that where it's like, when I sang in church, when I sang in like different community activities, when I had like my own different things. So that was a whole other like vibe, you know what I mean? And then it was like the vibe that I had immediately with my family, which was like, we would just be jamming all the time. So
Right.
I would say like it was a very eclectic environment growing up in LA. Like I'm very grateful for it because I'm pretty sure like all of those elements is the reason I am this crazy eclectic human being, and I'm very grateful for that. But I would definitely say that was the environment that I grew up in. It was a lot of different elements, which actually makes sense when you listen to my music as well too. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, juxtapose that with your time overseas. What was your time like overseas?
So that was really interesting because actually, so growing up in LA, right? This is another element I would say with like the element as far as like the Indian music side goes. Growing up in LA, since my parents were also very much in that world of classical Indian music, I never really fully, and in that world, it's almost like taboo to like sing like film music or, do indie music and this and that. It's very, very, very traditional. So it was
Okay.
really ironic because when I went to India, that was the first time I think I met a variety of like different types of musicians. There was artists for every genre of music, and to me that was like a trip. I was like, whoa, like what am I, it was a whole other world that I was experiencing, which was so dope because it really gave me the opportunity to like step out of like even myself. I was like, whoa, I think I found my fellow black sheep tribes. Like let me go explore all of this. So I really had the opportunity to work with so many different types of musicians, artists, like from like all walks of life. And that for me was, oh my God, that was amazing. And I always say this in anything that I talk about, like me going overseas and having that experience was really like a metamorphosis for like my spiritual journey through music. You know what I mean? Like during my time overseas, it wasn't just like, oh, I was going to all these shows, I was performing, I was doing studio. It was also a very spiritual journey for me. Like I went back and I learned a very traditional style of singing again. I would go to meditation and temples and do like yoga and just do different types of retreats. And it was very synonymous with my growth and journey through music as well too. My spiritual journey, I would say, is very synonymous with my musical journey as well, because music is like the exact translation of my soul, my journey, my expression as a human being. And so it's happening in real time. A lot of it is happening in real time, and then a lot of it is like very reflective, like going back and being like, holy shit, I actually freaking experienced that. What the actual what?
Yeah.
And then yeah, being able to go on tour in Australia, that was really cool too. And I mean, we did a bunch of like world music festivals and this, that. And so it was really cool. Like I remember linking with like, an Indonesian gamelan, and we jammed out, and that took me back to my childhood because I did live in Bali for a little bit as well too. So, yeah, it was a really, oh man, it was it's a whole different game, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different experience. And I'm very grateful because I think by nature I'm a really introverted person, and I know no one would ever believe that. I promise you no one would ever believe that. But I think like having that opportunity to just like be in a completely new environment, having to network, having to just really put yourself out there and be like, hey, I'm here. Like everyone kind of knows who you are because you're family, but you don't really know anybody. So you got to put yourself out there too. So
Right.
that really kind of, I would say as an artist, really pushed me out of my own comfort zone to be like, hey, like, you're not going to achieve greatness by being comfortable. Like you better be really, really comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so, yeah, it was a lot of different like lessons as far as like, as an artist, the person behind the artist, the business in itself, like the sound, the industry period. But yeah, So that's what that was.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Now, I'm assuming that the world music industry is a lot different from the United States music industry. Um, Touring abroad and then coming back to the States. Do you feel that there are like restrictions, more restrict? Is it more restrictive to thrive in the United States in the music industry, or abroad?
So it's that's such a you had to ask me that question, huh? So the thing with that, and then there's so many angles to like really go about that, right? If you want to talk about the angle of being a female, if you want to talk about the angle of being a female in a different country and the kind of music that you're trying to put out, or the kind of like lane that you're trying to create for yourself, I think it's very, very different depending on where you go. So, I mean, I would say lyrically speaking, there's certain type of lyrics or even movements that like would probably fly in more modern or westernized countries, whereas like sometimes those kind of things are not going to fly elsewhere, right? And so I think ultimately it's always like pushing boundaries. Like, which boundary are you willing to push? I think during my time there, like, what we were doing was it was dope. It was unheard of. It was crazy, and there was a lot of boundaries that we were pushing. I could say as a female, there's a lot of boundaries that I was pushing out there too, and it was just kind of like how, like, what and how far, and is that in line with what you represent as an artist? Like, I've always believed, like, although I don't practice medicine and I've gone into this path of music, I do believe as an artist, I'm still a scientist. I'm still like, I'm still like a healer in that sense or whatever. And it's my responsibility to be conscious of that as well too. And a lot of the music I do like to put out is very uplifting. It is very conscious of the female narrative. When I was living overseas, I also had the opportunity to educate and work in the Cambridge system and teach, younger minds and younger students. And during that time, like, I really saw like what the impacts of like different socioeconomic and religious influences can play in different regions or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think it's really important, and I'm not pressing that, or I wouldn't say that I wouldn't press that on anybody, but I think as creatives and people that are putting our art and expression into the world, it's important that we're aware of like what's actually happening in the world. Like, what are you talking to? Like, is what you're saying meaningful? Is it impacting? If you have this influence, with great responsibility, I mean, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, what are you doing with that? You know what I mean? So I think that really like that would be my answer for that. There's a lot of boundaries I was able to push out here, and I think, especially being first generation over here, there's a lot of things that I'm able to do out here that a lot of people over there probably would never be able to do. You know what I mean? And so for me, I'm like, maybe I am that bridge. Maybe I am that bridge that really kind of, gives light to that. And I'm never going to stop pushing. So we out here.
Yeah, you don't take me as the type that would stop pushing. So I get it. Let's talk current projects.
Okay.
What are you currently working on?
Oh, all right. So let me tell you, I have this new record. So I actually just dropped a record. It's called Real Woman. And that it's really ironic that I'm talking to you about this right now too, because of what we just talked about. Speaking of the female narrative, speaking of like empowering the voice, Real Woman is really like my journey into my own sound and my womanhood. You know what I mean? My experience of that. And ironically, that project, I wrote that like after I moved to India, like the first time coming back here, that was when I wrote that. I connected with my boy, Peter Madonna. Shout out to you, Peter. He produced the track. And so that was a really, really cool project. Y'all can check it out. It's available on all streaming platforms.
Yeah, we actually have it here. So we'll debut it in a few.
Yes. But beyond that, I have my new record titled Royalty. And it's going to be dropping in January. So I'm super stoked for that one. That one is definitely a soul piece for me. And I wrote it like driving to Yosemite, just like me, firewood, the forest, and my feelings. So, that one I'm really, really excited for. I talk about some really deep and meaningful things to me as well, too. So that's also dropping. And I think during this time, during COVID, I just had a lot of time to really express like my creativity and like really venture into that deeper. So I just recently dropped my vlog, and my own apparel line as well too. So we out here, we doing the whole thing, the whole. I want to say 360, but 360 puts you right back where you started. So let's say 180.
That's deep. That's deep to think of for a little while. And I should just say entrepreneur / music recording artist.
There we go.
But that's dope. That's dope. Let's get into these songs. So let's you have Real Woman here, and let's have you bring it in for us.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into The Beat. We got Real Woman debuting here live and only with the musical doc. Let's go.
You heard it here. Here we go.
I'm a whole lot of woman, I'm real. And baby, can you handle it? When it's on my mind, I say what I feel. Cause that's just how I handle it. The only rules I abide by are the ones I set myself. I want it, I need it, I got it, so give it to me. I ain't no thug, I got no thug, I got no thug,
All right.
I was out here vibing with it too. You know what I'm saying? A little bit vibing over here.
That joint take you places. So first of all, the overall collective of the project is very professional, very well done. The sound quality is there. You have great technical control of your voice. Yeah, let that. Please don't let that go over here. Just let that go.
No, absolutely not. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
The production was very well produced. So Peter Madonna, you said?
Yeah, that's the boy.
Yeah, you did that, bruh. And I also love the narrative that you put together with the video that kind of it tracked your rise from you being young to now you're full on a real woman, but it shows how all of the work you put in to grind. So again, very well done, very, very well done.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, like what's we're like, is that on Spotify? Is it like it should be like Visa everywhere you want to be.
It is everywhere. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Music. You can find it on whatever streaming platform you're on. It is there. Tidal, iHeartRadio. You want to look at the music video or lyric video on YouTube, you can find it on there too. So just type in musical doc, Real Woman, and it'll pop up. That's awesome. And so we have one more, and then you also on top of that said that you have one that you drop in 2021, right? Like first thing. All right, man. All right. I think you showing off, man. You showing off. I'm just saying, you know what? If you gonna lock the musical doc up for a whole entire year, you better believe that when 2021 comes, she gonna unleash the wild creative mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that was that. Come on.
I get it. Facts. But like I said, very, very well done. I look for what we got next. So actually, what we do have next is your song called "Nobody," and again, that's produced by Peter Madonna. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna let you bring that one in too. Let's
All right. Well, here we go. Live and exclusive on the beat. The musical doc, Peter Madonna. We got "Nobody" music video dropping right here. Let's go.
Let's go.
Up this morning, can't tell you what happened. Took a drink, then kept slipping. Close my eyes, dreaming. Oh, the way he was talking. Oh, he got me feeling red things in wrong places. Oh, I must be crazy.
Man. And then come back with the riff at the end. Look at you. So first of all, vibes. Vibes. Who shot the video?
Kyle Morgan. Shout out to you, Kyle. Oh my God, let me tell you. Okay, so literally in my head after we wrote the song, like I saw it. Like I saw, and I was like, I feel like I just splurted out a bunch of adjectives to him. And when I tell you that he was literally able to like just catch a vibe, like he knew what I was talking about. He just caught the vibe and took all these different words and like sound effects that I was having. But I wanted to be, you know what? Like I did the most. Like I literally gave him an animated like, and he was able to take all of that and bring it together in like this beautiful, like cinematic, concise form, like so flawlessly. So shout out to you, Kyle. He killed it. He killed it on that.
Yeah, nah, like I said, the same thing. Same goes with this song. Very well done, very well crafted. The vocal arrangement. I'm assuming you did it.
The vocal, yeah. So I wrote the whole song, and then actually, ironically, this song I started writing it for like somebody else, and then I was like, wait, what? Like it was just like my narrative. Like the more and more I just started writing this melody, I was like, and then so I just showed it to Peter. I was like, yo, like I just, whatever, I was just kind of humming, and he was like, wait, what? And he told me to like hum the melody again, and then we just went in with like literally like nothing there, just recorded it, and then he like kind of created some stuff. He was like, okay, now let's record it again. Created that, and then like literally a week later, I came back into the studio, and he was like, oh, I have a surprise for you, by the way. And he like created the whole like production around it, and I was like, yo, that was crazy. So yeah, like that was really that was a vibe for sure.
Yeah, no, like I said, vibes off the break. So and again, kudos to you. Again, kudos to Peter Madonna. Like, I'm like Silent Cow, bro. I won't give it to you unless it's dope. And
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No doubt. And we definitely look forward to the new single that drops in January. Feel free to send it back. See if we can get the exclusive, man. Hopefully.
Hey, you trying to hear the exclusive though? Y'all want to hear a sneak peek of that?
Let's see.
All right. I'm gonna do like a little. I don't know if you can hear it like all the way, but I'll do like a little sneak peek of it.
That's cool.
Okay. That's the vibe of my company. I've seen it all right to die by the flight. Oh man, it cut it on its own. It cut it on its own.
It was like, stop.
Y'all.
We'll see you in January.
That's the universe. I'm gonna take that from the sign as the universe to be like, whoop, it's too exclusive, but y'all heard it here first.
Nah, it's dope. So, it gave you just enough to make you like, dang, I want more. See, this genius stuff going on. You ain't split.
It's tapping in with the universe. You know what I mean? Tap in. Pun intended.
Big facts. All right, cool. Well, like I said, we definitely looking forward to what you got next, especially the extended, full-on version of that song. And definitely love the two that were just played here. I mean, again, you got a lot of potential. Like your stuff is like crazy. It's like you should already be on the radio right now. I mean,
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Well, you know what? It's really the support of people like you and everyone that's viewing and watching. So I really have y'all to thank for that, and I have you to thank for that. So thank you guys for believing in my art and giving me the time to just spill a little bit about what I feel and stuff. So thank you for the podcast. You know what I mean?
Indeed. Appreciate it. All right, so let's change this up real quick.
All right. Wipe. Okay.
Exactly. Lock it. Throw it. The breaking up we're talking about music. Gotta ask you.
All right.
2020 is undefeated. We've experienced a lot of issues and turmoil and so forth and so on. In your opinion, how is LA post-presidential elections?
Well, I think it's a really exciting time that we're living in right now. I can say, especially as someone that grew up in LA and got to experience the melting pot of a city that we live in, representation is everything. And I think the future that we're walking into, the fact that it's in the lane and path towards representation, I think that's amazing, and that's a step forward in the correct direction. And I think it's an amazing, especially as an artist, right, as a creative, as an artist, and to be able to see what's happening, not just like on stage, but like the political stage, like the world that we live in, I think this year has definitely showed that it's so important where we find unity and diversity, right?
Right.
I think COVID and all of that's happened in this world, right? Like just 2020 and in a whole, it really kind of kept people apart, and it really, led way for a lot of like people to go apart. But at the same time, when all the world and everything is moving in different directions, like how do we really keep that unity and diversity? And I think, come 2021, that's really going to be the start of a new light, and seeing representation and seeing a whole different kind of, I don't want to just say LA, but United States altogether. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm excited to be a part of what that's going to also look like. And I think as artists, as anyone in any field, it's really important to voice your opinions, voice your thoughts on that as well too. And like I said, I'm an avid believer of unity and diversity. And so here we are.
Okay. All right. That's a very, very good answer. There's obviously no right answer.
Right.
No wrong answer. It just is what it is. But no, definitely a good answer that you got. Off script a bit.
Okay.
For those people that aren't from LA.
Okay.
What are 10 cool things about Los Angeles?
Oh my God. Can I start with, okay, hold on. I know I'm an artist and everything, and fun little fact, I'm also vegetarian, but y'all gotta love the food. Okay. That's number one. Number one is y'all gotta love the food. Okay. But beyond that, I really think there's like a place for everybody to find their place. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're into or whatever like vibe you're about, like there's really a place for that. You know what I mean? Like I love how LA does have a very like forward culture as far as like health in all realms and everything. And so I love that I'm seeing a lot more like, like vegan, vegetarian friendly places, a lot more like places that promote mental health, yoga, meditation. Like that's my jam. And the fact that like we live in a city where it really does like, like whatever version of that you want to call it or whatever. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here that it's there to promote like wellness in general. So I really just think, the really cool thing about LA is that wherever you resonate with as a person, you're going to find a place for that. You're going to find a group of people to connect with that. And I think even despite like the pandemic and stuff like that, that's still been able to be possible because of technology and just like everyone just being so willing to, let's stream this, let's do this, let's do that. And I think, that's something that's really awesome about the city in general, where it's like people just really coming together, as much as it's like, as much as you want to be like everybody's for themselves, this and that or whatever. I think as a community, we really do know how to collectively come together in our own way. So that's really cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what else. Like there's if you like nature and like going on hikes and stuff like that, like let me tell you, I'm all about elevating yourself as a human. And so when I tell y'all like running, like physically running, right? I like the elliptical and stuff like that, but I've never trained outside of the gym like that. And so recently I have been going on these runs on the beach. Okay. And this first week of mine, I did 13.2 miles. And let me tell you, that is not easy. I love the mental stamina that running gives you, but the physical, not my thing. So yeah, like even for people that are into like just wellness and health, and you want to check out a cool beach, you want to check out like the vibes, whatever, you want to zen out on a mountain somewhere, you want to drive out, whatever. I mean, that's the center point of like just branching out from everywhere, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I think that's my 10 and like 3, but
okay. Nah, that's cool. That's cool. We going with it. That's totally fine. Now, I gotta, there's always conflicting things out there, and no matter where you go.
Right.
Right.
Big facts. Big facts.
Okay. I think you're gonna like this. This I'm gonna test your Angelino metal with this one. Watch this.
Okay.
Go Lakers or go Clippers?
Come on, man. Is that really a question? You really got Lake Nation for days. Get out of here. Bye.
Okay. All right. You know, we gotta check. We gotta check now.
All right, fair. That's fair. That's fair. I understand.
You know, because it was last year was supposed to be Quiet Town. You know, but but we'll leave it there. You know. So with that being said,
all expressive right now.
With that said, next question: Kobe or LeBron?
Okay, look, I grew up on Kobe. You know what I mean? So like,
you know, it's a hard one. It's really not. It's really not.
Like, why are we dropping these? Yeah, I mean, it's Kobe. Like, you know, that's where my heart is. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
Follow your true north. I'm following it.
Look. Well, you were tested and you passed.
Hey, there we go.
All right. Next question. Netflix what? What that means is, what you got on your what are you watching right now?
Oh my God. You are really going to make the extra dramaticness. Like, look, I had to mess up my hair for that question right now. Dear Lord. Okay, look, let me tell y'all something, okay?
Me too.
You were funny. Hold on. Time out. This is a real serious topic right now. All right, I got two shows that I don't even know if they're that popular now, but I like came across them on Netflix and I was like, whoa, bro. Right now, what I'm currently watching is a show called The Messiah, which is like, whoa. So actually, last December, I was able to go to Jordan, and so that for me was like a whole other went to the Dead Sea, got to go to where Moses saw the Promised Land, all of that. So that was like a real trip. So like me personally, I just like really am resonating with the show right now. It's intense, y'all. Like it's really intense. Go in it with the open mind is all I'm gonna say. Okay. Another show that I watched recently, it's a show called Bad Boy Billionaires. Okay. And it was really wow. It was really insightful. It's basically like how these like billionaires in India came across like what they did and like the scandal behind how like they got their fortunes and everything. Yeah. But you know what? There's always yin and yang to everything. So it was really interesting to me because I thought it was really cool. Like when a lot of these like entrepreneurs, or for example, one of the people they were talking about was from Kingfisher, like the person that developed Kingfisher Airlines and this. And he was talking about how like in a very conservative environment like India, like he basically created like liquor and stuff like that. And so how he had a really hard time advertising in the country. And so how basically he was like, I'm going to advertise a lifestyle and nobody can say nothing about that. So it's just really interesting to see, okay, yeah, you got in some lot of really bad shit, but on some real shit, like it was so inspiring as an artist and as an entrepreneur to see like what kind of drive you had, where your vision was, like where was your head at, like really trying to make this vision of yours a reality, and to what extent like you were willing to lose billions to like go to that extent because you believed in it so hard. So right. I always like to see the good and learn the lessons from things. So for me, that was a trip. Like I was like, whoa. Like I said, I'm a nerd, so I'm not gonna, Queen's Gambit was dope too. That was a really intense. Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, that's my Netflix what hashtag in a nutshell.
there it is. Appreciate you. All right. So we got a few more questions and then we mobbing out. But question, what's your thoughts on today's music? Like, I mean, your eclecticness, you're being well traveled, being around a lot of different, exposed to a lot of different styles of music, a lot of different genres, a lot of different arts, religions, because that plays a big part in the art and the display of the art as well. But today's music, when you listen to LA radio, that's primarily what I say. What I mean by today's music. What is your thoughts on it? And then second question, just beneath that is who's in your playlist right now? Like top 3 or 5, 3
okay. So it's really interesting because I feel like for a while, like I was really feeling this discord, right? Like as a creative, I was really feeling this discord with what was like current with today's music, because I just kind of felt like it wasn't resonating with me on like this very like I said, like my muse is really like this external and internal life force that I feel like I channel. So like I was kind of like really experiencing this discord for a while, because I was really like, what's being put out there? What is being fed to like the masses? Like what? And don't get me wrong, like I love shit that's popping too. Like I don't even mean on that tip. I just mean in general, like what's the kind of energy that's really being brought forward, you know? And I really had like this level of like cognitive dissonance, because it was like, I mean, I relate to music deeper than anything in this world. And why am I not relating to anything that's like relevant in the world right now? Like, and it was really like a very isolating place for a while. Okay. And ironically, I really feel like this pandemic happening, it really made us kind of like go back to like basics, as in like humans. Like, what do we feel like emotion, right? And cognition is like one of the core fundamentals of us as like human beings. Right. And so it's like really interesting, because when I'm listening to music now, like I really kind of started to feel that shift of like, I think there's hope. Like, I think there's this element of like the industry just really tapping into that human element. Element. Like, what do we need to hear right now? Like, if I listen to shit that's just gonna, you know, am I popping bottles and that, like, what bottle? Where are you popping that bottle? Where are you popping it? Just curious. In my kitchen, I don't even drink like that, so I don't know what bottle I'm popping. Like, you know what I mean? So, but it's really interesting, because, like, you know, I think the more music I've heard across like the border of like wherever in the world, it's just kind of resonated with me a little bit more. And, you know, some of my favorite artists like are Billie Eilish. You know, I love Post Malone. Like, till this day, like Hollywood, that's like one of my favorites, like albums, period. Like, I love it. You know, I really like what is that one song? I think it was with Miley Cyrus and Dua Lipa. That's a pretty dope song. What else? Oh, that one song, Monster, by Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes. Oh Lord, I got that one on repeat for sure. But it's like, you know, there's just kind of like this general tone and general like context that's being, you know, like this underlying context that's kind of being brought to light. And I think that's really us tapping into like ourselves. Like, when you're isolated, and I know what that feels like. Like, I lived in a different country. Like, when I was doing my internship, I literally worked in an area of religious conflict, and I felt so isolated from anything of normalcy. And so when I say this quarantine, it's not that different for me. It's not that different in the sense that like I have experienced being locked up in a hostile environment by myself with my feelings, with nothing else. And that takes you to a different kind of place as a person, you know? And now when you bring your artistic craft into this and how you want to shape yourself moving forward, like, we're entering a whole other world. So if you think that you're still going to be creating content that's relevant to the world that we used to live in, you're very mistaken. And that's kind of just how I see it. And that's the content that I'm going to push forward. And that's the content that I see more and I resonate with more. So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts currently. So we'll see. That's always, change is the only constant, right? So we'll see how that changes. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, very well said.
Thank you.
No worries. All right. We down to down the stretch. What advice do you have for any aspiring talent? Anybody that is be it an entertainer, a musician, entrepreneur, anything that you would like to basically give back, any kind of
absolutely. I would say that knowledge is power. So be humble in the sense of like, don't ever let your ego feed anything that you create. Don't like get rid of that thing. One, but it's like forever be a student, forever be a teacher. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is that you're doing, like really learn about it. Like really get good at what you do. Like hone your craft, like really learn about it, like learn more. Like we are but a speck in this like spectrum of like music, right? And like I'm not talking about like the glitz and glam of it. I'm talking about like internally, right? We are but a speck. The second you start thinking that you understand the depths of like music and the entertainment industry or the business, whatever the fuck it is, excuse my language, whatever it may be, like that's the second you're done. Like you're
Right.
done. You're done. You need to pack your bags and leave. So I would really say like just really, really learn the ins and outs of it. Like and really take your external environment as a guru. Like take that as your teacher and take that, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm a forever nerd, and I really do believe that. Like whether you can call it networking, I call it learning, right? I call it learning. Like whether that's learning people, that's learning behaviors, that's learning a way of life, that's learning how to move forward, that's learning how to elevate. That's your classroom right there. So I really think it's important that we forever stay a student, but we also, you know, pass that forward. And, you know, don't be that person that when you get there, you're like, you forgot how you got there as well too. You know what I mean? Like teach that forward. I'm an avid believer of that, because I also have my own educational studio as well too, called TMD Studios, and I work with young adults, kids, like of all ages. And it's so ironic because teaching has also taught me so much about like the craft and like the energy that has, you know, gone into my craft too. And so I always say that I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student, like forever. And so, you know, be really humble in your quest for knowledge is what I would say.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, I don't kind of know what to say after that.
I truly believe that. Like that was something I would say that was passed down from my teachers and my gurus. And like, you know, I really believe that like with my whole entire heart. And I feel like as an artist, as a human, that's what helped me like keep growing and you know, even having those goals that you want to achieve and stuff like that too, right? Like that kind of energy that you're putting to achieve it. Like what kind of energy are you putting in? Is it malicious? Are you stepping on people to get to the top, or are you growing? Are you guys all growing together? And I think that's really, really important that you know, have a good group of people around you that you can grow with, not just, yo, I'm gonna cut you here, I'm gonna cut you here. Like I don't believe, like I said, like I grew up in an environment where, you know, my family is one of the largest musical schools, academies in the United States for classical Indian music. And I saw the power of what community and growing together really is. So for me, that's a very, very important element. You got to pass that forward. So stay woke, y'all. Y'all better stay woke.
Yeah, definitely. Both eyes wide.
2020. You know what I'm saying? 2020 vision.
Indeed. So with that said, how can people learn more about you?
Absolutely. So you can visit my website at iamthemusicaldoc.com. You'll find new music there. You'll find all my vlogs, my YouTube channel, my streaming platforms, my apparel, whatever y'all want to vibe with, it's on there. But beyond that, if you want to connect with me social, you can find me on any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is you into, I'm on it at The Musical Doc. That's DOC. And yeah, connect with me, y'all. I would love to vibe out and just exchange energy.
Awesome. Listen, Varshni, it's I definitely appreciate you for your time. I love your music. I love what the energy you put into the universe. We need more people like you to do so. Your team, amazing team that you got. Definitely big things. I expect big things to come based off of what I heard. So you guys got it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for having me. It was great. It was great, like just exchanging energy with you and sharing a little bit about my journey. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I'm going to hit you back up when I drop that new record too. So don't
we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back for sure. And like I said, with you know, everything that's going on, please be safe. You and your family, your loved ones, everybody, just make sure you're safe, mask up, stay G. And you know, wish you nothing but you know, unmitigated success. It just everything is just I wish everything perfect for you, man. Seriously.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Donnie. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. The Musical Doc is out.
And you heard that from the Musical Doc, and this is Donnie B. Of course, I got the beats, and we out. Donnie B.